What's going on, guys? It's Corbin here for AcousticWorld.net, and just wanted to shoot a real quick video on how much music theory is really necessary or helpful for guitarists. Music theory is one of those things where a little of it can go a long way, and at the same time, I think people can get carried away with it or use it as an excuse to not keep practicing. Like, some people say, "Oh, I don't know enough music theory to be good at soloing or playing guitar in general." So it's one of these weird areas in guitar where people don't really there's not really an agreed upon, I guess, standard for how much music theory a guitarist should know. A lot of the best guitarists don't know any music theory at all, can't read music. And then on the other end of the spectrum, you have some guitarists like Yngwie Malmsteen, or any guitarist basically with a jazz or classical background usually has a much stronger foundation in theory. So uh, a lot of this depends on your goals. So if you want to be a blues guitarist, blues rock, even rock uh, in general, you can get by with a lot less music theory than, say, a classical guitarist or jazz guitarist. And that may seem obvious, but yet when you go to some guitar teachers or guitar, learning websites or books, the first thing they do is dump all of this music theory on you. Where if all you want to do is play blues or rock or folk, a lot of times it's just easier to get started right away. There are songs and things you can learn, licks even, without any sort of foundation in music theory. And taking like a songs first approach and learning the basic music that you're actually interested in playing, a lot of times that can teach you music theory along the way. So a lot of times I think people go about this backwards, where they immediately, as soon as they start learning guitar, they start learning tons of music theory. It's the first thing they learn is how to read music and how to play in 3/4 time, which I've been playing guitar for like 5, 6 years now, at least. Acoustic guitar, anyways, and I don't know how to do half of that stuff still. And it doesn't stop me from playing music with other people or performing or learning basically any song or lick that I want to. I don't have to know what 3/4 time is. I don't have to know. I don't practice playing eighth notes or like any of this more traditional stuff. So you have to decide if that kind of thing is important to you or not. Again, if you want to play jazz or classical music, that might be an important thing to really learn. But if you want to play rock, um, you should just look up the chords to Sweet Home Alabama and start playing it and try to sound good over the studio track. Look at other people's covers and other people's tutorials for it on YouTube. Um, I think taking that more like practical, hands-on approach is a lot more exciting to most people, and you learn just as much along the way, I think. That said, I think some foundation of music theory is important. So I know the basics of the caged system. I think scales are important to learn: the major scale, the pentatonic scale, um, and related to that would be modes, right? So Dorian mode, Lydian mode, which is, I think, just the major scale if I'm remembering right. But even that kind of stuff, though, it's a funny thing, music theory, because you basically learn it so that you don't have to think about it anymore. So now, whenever I'm playing, I never think in terms of like, oh, now I'm gonna play the pentatonic scale, or now I'm gonna play the blues scale, or now I'll play Mixolydian. The real reason to learn all of these theories is to actually free you up on the fretboard so you don't have to think about them. So I know that's kind of paradoxical, but Yeah, that's the whole point of learning these things is you learn the scales so that you can improvise without having to think about scales. They give you a framework to work in. This is the other thing with music theory is people learn it and then they think that they can't deviate from it at all. And so a lot of stuff you hear in blues music, or if you listen to Frank Zappa play a guitar solo, a lot of that stuff can't be contextualized or made sense of in traditional like music theory, like uh, or they like people just say it's like, oh, it's polyrhythms or it's something. They make it seem like this really advanced theoretical thing where oftentimes the person is just like improvising or just came up with something that they think sounds good, because not everyone is working within this box of traditional music theory. So that's it, guys. I hope. I know I kind of rambled along there, but I hope this provided some value for you. So, if anything, the one thing to take away is there's no one size fits all approach. You can learn basically as much music theory as you're comfortable with, and time is on your side. So, like, you can start off with as little as possible, and if you find that you need to learn more in order to learn specific songs or styles of music, then there's always a way to learn what you need. So don't get overwhelmed by theory. I think most people tend to do that. Focus on songs, on learning the things that you're interested in, and if you want to start learning theory, just learn basic scales, how chords are formed, the caged system, and that's really it. So I hope that was helpful, and I'll see you in the next video.